Captain James Walker stood tall before the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber. His blue uniform, decorated with Earth's new Space Force insignia, felt tight around his neck. After 50 years of faster-than-light travel development, humanity had finally been invited to join the community of spacefaring species. Today was supposed to be a day of celebration. "Remember your instructions, Captain," said the voice in his earpiece. "Be humble, be respectful, and above all, be grateful for their acceptance." Walker nodded, though he felt a twist in his gut. Why should Earth be grateful? Humans had developed FTL travel on their own, without help from the Council that had watched them from afar for centuries. The doors swung open. Inside, 12 different alien species sat in a semicircle on raised platforms. Their forms varied wildly, some insect-like, others reptilian, a few almost human in appearance. All looked down at him from their high seats. "The representative from Earth may approach," announced Counselor Nexus, a tall, gray-skinned being with 4 arms and eyes that glowed with an inner light. Walker walked forward, his footsteps echoing in the silent chamber. "Greetings, Counselor Nexus, honored members of the Galactic Council. I bring peaceful greetings from Earth." Nexus's upper arms remained folded while the lower ones held a digital tablet. "Yes, Earth. We have been observing your kind for some time. Your development has been interesting." A murmur ran through the Council members. "We thank you for the invitation to join," Walker began. "You misunderstand, human," interrupted a bulky, armor-plated alien to Nexus's right. "This is not an invitation to join as equals. This is a probationary assessment." Walker's smile faltered. "I don't understand." Nexus leaned forward. "Your species has a history of violence, territorial disputes, and environmental mismanagement. Your development of FTL technology without solving these primitive tendencies concerns us." For 3 hours, Walker stood as the Council listed humanity's failings, wars, pollution, resource consumption, even cultural differences they deemed aggressive. Each point struck him like a physical blow. Therefore, Nexus finally declared, Earth will be placed under Level 3 restrictions. Your vessels will be limited to your home system. All technology transfers are forbidden. Council observers will monitor your progress for the next 100 years. Walker's diplomatic training almost failed him. "With respect, Counselor, these terms are extremely limiting. How can we prove ourselves worthy if we're confined to our solar system?" "The human questions our wisdom," rumbled a gelatinous being from the far end. "Typical," hissed another. Nexus raised a hand for silence. "Your reaction only proves our point, human. Return to your planet. Our decision is final." 1 month later, Admiral Tom Reed stood before the emergency session of Earth's United Government. Behind him, a screen showed the Council fleet positioning itself at the edge of the solar system. "They've revoked even the probationary status," Reed reported grimly. "After our formal protest, they've declared Earth unfit for galactic citizenship, and placed us under full quarantine." President Morgan slammed her fist on the table. "They can't just exile an entire planet." "They can and they have," Reed replied. "Our ships have been forced back from the jump points. All communication channels are blocked. We're alone." Lisa Gray, head of Earth Science Division, spoke up. "Not completely alone, and not completely helpless." She placed a small data cube on the table. "During the initial diplomatic meetings, I managed to download significant portions of their technological database." The room fell silent. "That's against their regulations," the president whispered. Lisa smiled thinly. "Yes, well, they've made their opinion of us quite clear, haven't they? They think we're savages, so I acted like one. I took what we needed." Reed picked up the cube, turning it in his fingers. "How much did you get?" "Enough," Lisa replied. "Their ship designs, weapons technology, star charts for regions they consider unimportant. More than enough to start with. Reed turned to the president. They've pushed us out, but they've made a critical mistake. They've underestimated human determination. The president looked around the room. What do you propose, Admiral? Reed's eyes hardened. If they won't let us join them, we'll build something better. They expect us to cower in our corner of space. Instead, we'll expand outward, away from their territory. We'll build colonies, develop the technology Lisa stole, and create our own future among the stars. Lisa nodded firmly. They think we're done. They think we'll just hide in our little corner of space. But they've never really understood humans, have they? We don't give up. We adapt. We overcome. The president stood, her decision made. Then let's show them what humanity can do when backed into a corner. Operation Exodus begins now. 10 years after Earth's exile, Admiral Tom Reed's hair had turned completely gray. He stood in the observation deck of humanity's first, Earth's largest space station, watching as the prototype ship prepared for its maiden voyage. Will it work? He asked, not turning around. Lisa Gray, now Director of Technology, joined him at the window. The Pathfinder incorporates everything we learned from the Council data. It's faster than anything they have and completely undetectable to their sensors. Reed nodded. And Captain Wilson? Mike's the best explorer we have. If anyone can find us a new home beyond Council space, it's him. On the bridge of the Pathfinder, Captain Mike Wilson ran through final checks. His small crew of 30 represented Earth's finest, scientists, soldiers, and engineers. All systems green, reported his first officer. Ready to activate the stealth drive. Wilson touched the communication panel. Control, this is Pathfinder. We're ready. Godspeed, Pathfinder, came Reed's voice. Find us a future. The ship slipped away, vanishing from normal space as it activated its jump drive. 6 months later, Wilson stood on the surface of a pristine blue-green world, breathing air that smelled of pine and ocean. His science team was spread across the valley, taking samples and measurements. It's perfect, said his chief biologist. Oxygen levels slightly higher than Earth, gravity 0.9 of our normal. The ecosystem is compatible, we could start planting Earth crops tomorrow. Wilson looked up at the twin moons visible even in daylight. And no signs of Council presence for 20 light-years in any direction. He activated his communicator. Pathfinder to Earth. We found it. Our new home. 2 years later, the first colony ship landed on the planet now named Hope. 5,000 settlers emerged, blinking in the sunlight of their new world. Bob Smith, Earth's military strategist, wasn't among them. He remained on Earth, working with Reed to plan humanity's defense. The stealth technology is now standard on all our ships, he reported. We've established automated mining operations in 3 uninhabited systems. Production of advanced weapons has begun. Reed studied the holographic display showing human expansion. How many ships have we lost? None, Smith replied. The Council doesn't patrol these regions. They consider them worthless. Reed smiled thinly. Their mistake. By the 25th year of exile, humanity had established 5 thriving colonies. Lisa's team had developed technologies that merged Council science with human ingenuity, creating ships and weapons unlike anything seen in the galaxy. On Hope, the first children born off Earth were now adults, having never known the Council's restrictions. In his office on Earth, now serving as the military headquarters of humanity's growing territory, Admiral Reed received an urgent message. Sir, a Council patrol ship detected our mining operation in the Tau system. We captured it before it could report back. Reed's expression hardened. They were bound to notice us eventually. Implement Defense Protocol Alpha. It's time to show the Council what humanity has become. The Council thought they contained us, Lisa said, entering the room. Now they'll learn what happens when you corner a species that never learned how to quit. 50 years after Earth's exile, Director Jane Addams stood at the center of the Alliance command room on Hope. The holographic display showed 37 human colonies spread across what was now called Alliance space. The Proxima shipyards are now producing 10 vessels per month, reported General Robert White, the silver-haired commander of humanity's military forces. Our fleet count stands at over 500 ships. Jane nodded. And Dr. Green's new drive system? Testing complete. It's twice as fast as anything the Council has. We can cross their territory in days while remaining completely undetectable. The door slid open and Paul Black entered, his merchant's clothes dusty from travel. As the Alliance's premier trader, he regularly ventured into Council space. I've made contact with representatives from Talos, he announced. They're a minor Council world, but they're tired of being ignored by the larger species. Are they willing to trade? Jane asked. Paul smiled. Better. They're willing to consider breaking away from the Council entirely. Jane's eyes widened. That would be unprecedented. Times are changing, General White said. The Council's grip is slipping. Many worlds see how our colonies thrive while they struggle under Council restrictions. Dr. Mark Green, brilliant and eccentric, joined them. My team has completed the new shield technology. It's beyond anything in the Council database, truly a human innovation. Jane looked at the star map again. In just 50 years, humanity had gone from exiles to a power that rivaled the Council itself. Their colonies were prosperous, their technology superior, and now, other species were looking to them for leadership. Prepare a diplomatic team, she ordered. If Talos wants to join us, we'll welcome them. This is just the beginning. A communications officer interrupted. Director, we're receiving a message from Talos. It's official, they're requesting membership in the Earth Alliance. Jane's expression was solemn but proud. The Council exiled us, thinking we would die alone in the darkness of space. Instead, we've built something that's beginning to shine brighter than they ever did. 100 years after Earth's exile, the Galactic Council chamber erupted in chaos. This is outrageous, shouted Counselor Orion, the new leader who had replaced Nexus decades ago. These humans have built an illegal empire while we looked the other way. The massive display showed the current state of the galaxy, nearly a third now colored in the blue of the Earth Alliance. 5 former Council worlds had defected, and dozens of previously unaligned species had joined the humans. The latest intelligence is disturbing, reported the Council's military advisor. Their technology exceeds our own in nearly every category. Their economic growth outpaces the entire Council combined. Outside the Council headquarters, President William Stone of the Earth Alliance waited patiently. His delegation had traveled openly into Council space, a show of confidence that had shocked many. Ambassador David Ross stood beside him. They've kept us waiting for 3 hours. Not a good sign. They're afraid, Stone replied calmly. For the first time in their history, they face something they can't control. The doors finally opened. Counselor Orion's 4 eyes glared at the human delegation. Your presence in Council space is a violation of your exile terms, he stated without preamble. Stone smiled. The exile was unjust, and we no longer recognize its legitimacy. The Earth Alliance is now a sovereign power, equal to the Council. Equal? Orion hissed. Your kind were deemed unfit for galactic society. Yet we've built a society that your own members prefer to yours, Ambassador Ross noted. Curious, isn't it? Orion's skin darkened with anger. You will return to your solar system immediately or face the consequences. Stone shook his head. Those days are long past, Counselor. We came to inform you that the Alliance now claims equal standing in galactic affairs. You can accept this reality, or what, human? Orion demanded. Fleet Commander Mary Wells stepped forward. Or discover what happens when you threaten a people who have spent a century preparing for this very moment. The first shots of the Alliance Council War were fired at the border system of Vega Prime. Council warships attacked an Alliance colony without warning, but found themselves outmatched by the colony's defense fleet. They underestimated us again, Fleet Commander Mary Wells told President Stone as they reviewed the battle footage. 3 of their largest ships destroyed, no Alliance casualties. Stone nodded grimly. But Counselor Orion will send more. We're ready, Wells assured him. Captain Alex Johnson is leading our counter-offensive. Captain Johnson stood on the bridge of the Defiance, the Alliance's newest battleship. His fleet of 30 vessels dropped out of hyperspace behind the Council's main battle group. They don't see us, his tactical officer reported. Johnson nodded. Open fire. The Alliance ships unleashed weapons that the Council had never encountered, gravity disruptors that tore their ships apart from the inside. Within hours, news spread throughout Council space, the mighty Council fleet had been decimated by human forces. Ambassador Ross worked tirelessly, contacting worlds who had suffered under Council rule. The Alliance offers freedom, prosperity, and respect, he told them. Things the Council has never provided. One by one, worlds began to declare independence, turning to the Alliance for protection. On the Council homeworld, Orion watched in horror as reports came in from all sectors. How is this happening? They were primitives, savages. We cast them out. Perhaps that was our mistake, said an old Council member. We gave them 100 years to prepare while we grew complacent. President Stone addressed the Alliance Parliament, representatives from 50 different species filling the chamber. The Council thought they could isolate us, contain us, and then destroy us. They never understood what makes humanity different. We don't surrender. We don't accept limitations. And we never, ever forget. The chamber erupted in cheers. Our fleets now surround the Council capital, Stone continued. Tomorrow, we offer them terms, not as supplicants, but as victors. The Grand Hall of the former Council headquarters had been transformed. Where once 12 high seats looked down on supplicants, now a single throne sat on level ground, surrounded by hundreds of seats arranged in a circle. William Stone, no longer merely president but now emperor of the human empire, sat upon that throne. He wore a simple blue uniform with only a small crown to mark his status. Today marks a new era for all species of our galaxy, he announced to the assembled representatives. The Council is dissolved. In its place, the human empire extends protection and partnership to all worlds. Counselor Orion, now a prisoner of war, was brought forward in restraints. You expect me to bow to the very species we exiled, he snarled. Emperor Stone smiled. No. I expect you to witness what happens when leadership is based on merit rather than arrogance. He gestured, and Orion's restraints were removed. You are free to return to your homeworld, which will now have equal representation in our Imperial Senate. All beings are equal under Imperial law. Grand Admiral Mary Wells presented the Emperor with reports from across the galaxy. The transition proceeds smoothly. 90% of former Council worlds have pledged allegiance to the Empire. Imperial Minister David Ross, once ambassador, now managed relations with thousands of worlds. We're establishing new trade routes that benefit previously neglected systems. Poverty rates are already declining on outer worlds. Prince John Stone, the Emperor's son and heir, had taken personal command of humanitarian missions to worlds the Council had exploited. The people of Talos send their thanks, he told his father. Their harvests have doubled with our agricultural technology. Emperor Stone looked out at the assembled representatives, humans standing alongside hundreds of alien species who once viewed them as primitive. 125 years ago, we were exiled, told we didn't belong among the stars. Today, we have proven not only that we belong, but that we can lead better than those who rejected us. 200 years after Earth's exile, Emperor John Stone stood on the observation deck of the Imperial flagship Destiny. At 70 years old, his hair was white, but his eyes remained sharp as he gazed at the stars. "Your Majesty," said Grand Admiral Kevin Wells, descendant of Mary Wells, "the delegates from the Andromeda civilization have arrived." The Emperor nodded. "Show them in." The delegation that entered was unlike any species the Empire had encountered, beings of crystalline structure that glowed with inner light. "We welcome you to the Milky Way," Emperor John said through the translation system chief scientist and Gray had developed. The lead crystal being pulsed with light. "We have observed your empire from afar. Your species was once rejected, yet you built something remarkable." Ambassador Orion, son of the former council leader and now a trusted imperial diplomat, stepped forward. "The human empire values all life forms. We've united a galaxy that was once divided." On Earth, millions gathered to watch the historic meeting. The original exile document, preserved in the Imperial Museum, served as a reminder of how far humanity had come. "The people who exiled us feared what we might become," Emperor John told the Andromeda delegation. "In doing so, they forced us to become something greater than we might have been as mere council members." Later that day, representatives from over 2,000 worlds assembled for the Empire's bicentennial celebration. Species that had once been enemies now stood side by side as allies and friends. Emperor John raised his hands for silence. 2 centuries ago, we were told we didn't belong among the stars. Today, we've proven that everyone belongs among the stars, and under our leadership, all species prosper together. What began as our exile became the foundation of the greatest civilization this galaxy has ever known. We turned rejection into strength, isolation into unity, and exile into empire. The assembly erupted in cheers that echoed throughout the galaxy.